Hello, readers! Welcome to 20 Questions with Your Favorite Author, where we ask authors important questions like, why would you agree to be on this podcast? I'm Kelly Lynn Colby, Editorial Director at Cursed Dragon Ship Publishing. Our guest this week is Kevin Pettway, writer of roguish fantasy and master of creative swearing. Kevin is a longtime fan of good fantasy as well as a smartass. He's brought together these two burning passions to create the Misplaced Mercenary series. Kevin lives in Florida with his wife of 26 years and two redonkulously cuddly dogs. If he's not your favorite now, he will be after. Yay! Welcome, Kevin! How are you this evening?
Thank you. I am happy to be here. And to answer your very first question, the reason that I agreed to be on this podcast is because I am contractually obligated.
Yes, we have to add that line to our contracts since you happen to be our first and most accomplished Cursed Dragon Ship author. So welcome. Thank you so much for taking a chance with us.
Thank you for sitting next to me at Superstars and being the first person to ask.
Sometimes you just got to get in there, man. So, no, it was awesome.
I think it's working out for everybody so far.
100% agree. So we are going to ask all of your awesome questions today. And audience, please make sure you log in and ask your questions because he hears my questions all the time and some of them he doesn't appreciate. So he might much rather hear from you. So please make sure to put your questions in the chat and I will ask them. But let's start with our first question. I did not change this one, even though I said I would change all the questions. But I know this is one that readers really like to hear. So the first one I would like to know is, where do you get your ideas?
So I feel like probably this is not like a groundbreakingly new answer for this question, but it's really just from everywhere. I will see somebody in the grocery store and think that that's an interesting character, and come home and take a note. Lena loves to watch nature shows, so there's millions of wonderful things in there. I like to watch like old history stuff, and there's just you mine it from everywhere. There's really and what this means is that if you know an author, nothing is sacred, nothing is safe. You will serve as grist for the mill in some capacity.
Yeah, I'm going to say, based on the intimate knowledge I have of your characters, I'm curious about where you go grocery shopping, because they're quite extraordinary.
Yeah, well, it's a fascinating grocery store.
Well, it is in Florida. Honestly, maybe all the tales are true.
yeah, that's not entirely inaccurate. It's a Publix. But we're in a historical neighborhood, so it's like this tiny little Publix. It's the tiniest Publix ever. And so everybody is sort of crammed in really close together. And Lena makes fun of me all the time because I go in there and like everybody who works there knows me and says hi to me, and you know, and it's fun. It's like, so that's like my social hour, is going to the grocery store, which was kind of horrible when, you know, COVID hit and we couldn't leave the house. And yeah, and then, you know, it's just like the dogs, you know, which are great, but they're not good conversationalists.
No, kind of, you know, just a couple notes they have. That's about it. Yeah, and we see your puppies behind you. They're just they're very interested in everything you have to say, I see.
Yes, as they always are. Yeah. Book is really the critic. River is, you know, she'll read anything, and, you know, she loves everything. So, you know, she's worthless as a beta reader.
No, you need those people who will just say they love you too. You need them too. It's always needed. Let's face it, we're authors. Sometimes our ego does need to be stroked a little.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because there's you would think that there was like a line somewhere in between being like egomaniacal and being completely and utterly cripplingly insecure. And yet there is no line. You can accomplish both of those at exactly the same time.
On the same project.
Yes.
That's
In the
awesome.
same instant.
We get that. We get that. It's probably pretty common in the creative world I have seen so far, period. So awesome.
So yes, the dogs do talk.
They do talk.
So Two Dorks TV just asked if the dogs talk, and the answer is yes. Yes, they do talk. As a matter of fact, we had the vet was out today to give shots, and told us that River was singing when she was actually she was getting her toes done, but we asked what that meant, and she kind of imitated it, and it sounded a little bit more like howling to me, but I suppose the vet would know.
She was like, "Oh, my horrible life! They're trimming my toenails. It's torture."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have one dog that cries even when the other one is getting her nails clipped. She's like, "I'm so sorry. I know that's horrible," and the other one's like, "Whatever." That's awesome. There was a question and I missed it. I was enjoying. There was a question. Well, I missed your question, so please write it in again and I will make sure to do it. So let's see. War Dog Havoc says, "Great job on the books, Kevin." So thank you. Thank you for the support. See, we need those people. We need those people to tell us.
Yeah, and it always means a lot every single time I hear that. I suspect it probably always will. But every single time I meet anybody who has read something that I have written and liked it, I'm just like incredulous. I'm
Hey man, you've earned it. And let's see, we have Two Dork says that most dogs are big Sinatra fans.
Yeah. I have never played them any Sinatra.
Oh, maybe you should try it. They might be missing out.
They like Cowboy Mouth.
Oh, there you go. I want to say close enough, but it's not. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Mystic put their question in again. Who is Kevin's favorite author to read?
Yeah, that bounces around a lot. I have always loved Stelazny, which is funny because every time you get the old cranky writer on here, they always talk about Stelazny. And let me think.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you are both old and cranky? Is that what I got out of that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm saying that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Without hesitation. Yeah. Anyway, so Zelazny he had wonderful ideas, which were completely new at the time, and very firmly rooted in both fantasy and sci-fi, usually at the same time. And his prose is amazing. It's lyrical. And it just pulls you in, grabs you by the throat, and does not let you go. And I just absolutely love him. I also love Stephen King, although I hate his endings for the most part.
Me too. 100%.
But if you just read the first 90% of any Stephen King book, you are golden.
Yes.
Oh gosh, what's the one I'm reading right now? It's actually one of the authors. It's a sci-fi. It's almost like a cyberpunk thing. And I have forgotten the author, but it's really good. I can look it up.
You're like, there's so much in my brain.
Yeah. I mean, there's pretty much never a time that I'm not reading. And a lot of those books I'll read the first 20% of and just, and put it down and go to the next one. But yeah, every once in a while I'll catch one like this one that I'm reading right now, who's the author I can't remember, but it's the first one of his that I've read. Nice. That really resonates, and I'll definitely read more. I'm really excited to read Greg Little's first book. That's the next one
It's
on my list.
it's really good. So I cannot wait. I've read the first 3, and so that 4th one's coming out, and I cannot wait. He needs to hurry.
Yeah, I have heard nothing but good things,
Hmm.
and I'm really excited to get into that one.
That's really fun.
So that's a really terrible answer, but there you go.
No, I like your answer. It's a good answer. What it means is I read a lot, and I don't always know who it is I'm reading, and I would say that's probably pretty true.
I don't always keep track, especially now that I don't really have to, because Amazon knows who wrote it. So they just say
Right.
the next one's out,
And you're
and
like, "Sweet, I'll take
oh,
it."
Joe Abercrombie.
That's
Joe Abercrombie
oh,
is
there you go.
also right way up there
Nice.
with me, and was actually very influential with the Misplaced Mercenaries book.
Very cool. Yeah, Steven loves Joe Abercrombie too. So let's see. So speaking of Misplaced Mercenaries, because that's the series you have at Cursed Dragon Ship, you have a
That's
whole
right.
host of, yeah, you remember? Do you remember that series? You have a whole
I
host
I
of,
have seen it.
you've seen it a few times, maybe. Um, you have a whole host of roguish characters, some of which turn out to be not so bad, but none of which fit into any molds. So what draws you to these kind of complicated characters?
Huh. That's a good question.
See, I come up with them sometimes.
Um. Okay, there's a couple of different things.
Mhm.
Probably the first one is that I try to write characters that I like to write. And what that ends up doing is I'm writing characters that I like. And so if I like them, then I don't want to see them uh I want to see them done justice to. I don't want to
Mhm.
see them, the last thing I want to do is have a plot point just because somebody was stupid and didn't do what they, what was realistic in the moment.
Mhm.
So I'm constantly thinking about, what would this person really do? And that leads you down some complicated roads because
Mhm.
people are complicated.
Yes.
The other answer to that is, I guess because I do read a lot,
Mhm.
I'm trying to. I am making an effort to stay away from certain. Um, well, it's not fair to say away from tropes because I like tropes because you can use a trope to set up a certain expectation which you can then fuck with.
Mhm.
Um, but
I have to say your characters don't fit into like typical trope characters very well. There's some things about your world that does, of course, but not the characters. You've done a really good job with that. So I think it's fair to say you try to avoid the tropes of that.
well, people aren't, you know, most people are not really one dimensional. Nobody walks
Mhm.
around and says, "Aha, I am a villain, therefore I will go out and do evil today. Let me find a cat to kick." Folks just don't do that.
You haven't
Even if
watched
you
much children's
are a
television.
even if you are a vicious evil bastard,
Uh,
you come home to people that you love, and you hug your kids and you put food on the table and you kiss your wife. I mean,
mhm.
Zafo knows what I'm talking about. um
Wait, are you saying he's an evil character who but loves us, so he's not so bad? Is that what you're trying to
I think of him more as a person than a character, but yeah.
say? He's got all your buttons, Zafo. He knows you. So no, that's great. Let's see. We have the Steven says note to self, remove cat kicking, one-dimensional character from latest story. Yes, do not let your one-dimensional characters kick cats. Just don't let them do that. War Dog Havoc wants to know, have you written anything that hasn't been published yet?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have written some things that will never be published. And a couple of things that, like, Kelly is familiar with this because it was kind of funny. I had some books written already when I first met Kelly,
Mhm.
and the last one of which, it was all Misplaced Mercenaries, and
Mhm.
in in a timeline.
Mhm.
And the last one of those books, she had she had read the first one and liked it, and so she was like, okay, I'm interested in this world and I want to move ahead.
Mhm.
And it was the book before this last one. I said, okay, now I need to talk to you about this last book, and she's like, no, it's okay. I really, really need to talk to you about it. And so,
I'm sure it'll be fine.
yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. And so I'm like, okay, so it's about pirates versus Vikings, which there's two groups that are in the world.
Mhm.
And she's like, sounds great, love the idea. And I think actually, Kelly, you had heard the first page of this
Yes.
book.
Yeah, because that's what you read at Superstars.
Um,
That's what made me interested in your work, period. So
yeah,
ironically, it's what I'm not
and
publishing. That's hilarious, actually.
well, anyway, so I said, okay, but it doesn't have any of the same main characters in it. There's like one person in it that that was a bad guy in a previous book, but he's in it. And Kelly's like, oh no, that's not going to work at all. You need to you need to write something different.
I'm like, what do
So
you
we
mean no
just set
Keen
that
and
one to the
Sarah? What are
side.
you thinking?
Right. Well, the idea was in my head, is that I had made up this group of characters over here, and then I was going to use this book to make up this new group of characters, and then the next book they were all going to meet. But that just didn't really work. But Kelly did tell me that she was interested in maybe publishing that one after everything else, and just sort of
Yes.
this was what was going on over here while all this other stuff was happening, and maybe even using that to write maybe some more pirate kind of stuff, which would be fun.
Would
Um,
be totally fun.
yeah,
Jumpstart a
I'm
different
I'm
series.
I'm not averse to the idea.
Mhm. I love it. Your audience would love it too. Stephen wants to know, how much of your stories do you have figured out before you start your first draft?
Well, I had a rough outline of the whole series before I started. Now that rough outline changed many times as I wrote. Um, so I think it's kind of like driving down a road at night. You've
Mhm.
got your high beams on. You can see really well what's right in front of you, and as things go, they get a little bit more dim.
Mhm.
Um, and that's basically the idea. You kind of have an idea of what's out there. You know the direction that you're writing in.
Mhm.
But things will change, and that's good. You want them to, because you don't want things to become rigid and static. You want it to feel alive.
Mhm.
And if they do, when you're writing those people, they will do things that surprise you, because you'll have this idea in your head, and when you actually get into that scene, that character will see something that you didn't see when you were just doing the outline,
Mhm.
because they're in the moment. And I say, I actually am aware that I'm writing it, and those thoughts are in my head. um, but that
And it
is the way it
works.
feels when
Yeah,
you're
because
writing
you're
it. Yeah,
creating this
yeah,
character. So when the character, if you are being authentic to that character as you're writing them, then they're going to do things that are authentic to them. But you're right, you have to change with them, because otherwise you'll have that problem you spoke about earlier. We have weird plot things just because you're like, no, this has to happen. And I hear that a lot from authors. This has to happen. I'm like, well, if that has to happen, it's not going to happen by that character doing that thing, because how you introduce that character wouldn't do that thing. And they're like,
yeah,
yep, excellent, good plan.
yeah. That is very much the kind of editing notes that I get from Kelly.
Including the grr. I do grr too sometimes. Sometimes you
Yes,
have
he
to grr.
does.
Yeah, it's just
My
required.
favorite editing note is, you can do better. There's no explanation. It's just, you can do better. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, what is she, like my fifth grade math teacher?
Maybe. So, see, that's the thing. After 4 books, I know you could do better. You're in trouble now. So, um, but speaking of your world is so rich, and you have multiple magic systems moving at the same time, which is so cool, by the way. How long did it take you to develop this kind of magic system, and which god being did you consult? Listen to him so carefully,
Okay.
carefully consider my questions. I'm so impressed.
Well, let's see. I'll answer the last part first. I'm an atheist, so the only God being was me. Um, but let's see.
Hey, you have so many god beings in your book. I love them. Your gods are an active member of this world.
Uh, yeah. Let's see. Well, all of the different magic systems were fairly fleshed out before I ever started writing,
Mm,
and I think the research phase on the first book
mhm,
was probably about 4 months. And there was a lot of just, basic world building that went into that.
mhm.
And the magic systems are tied back to the gods because the gods are where magic came from. Um, and let me think. Um, Yeah, and the other thing is that I keep a living world Bible,
Mhm.
and so as I go and I come up with new things, I will add it to that document, and then it's always there for me to go back and reference. And
So
you
you have it
can
on your computer?
and that's yeah, yeah.
Yeah, see, mine's in a notebook.
Huh?
I've tried to consider how to convert it.
No, yeah. No, it lives. I've got 3 monitors here,
Mhm.
and so I work on this one, and I reference on that one, and then I've got notes over here, and I chat with my wife and brother and sister over there. So, which is very important, um,
Always.
because you really can't get through a full day without being insulted by somebody. Um, But the cool thing about that is that when you've got something that's what basically you're doing when you come up with a magic system is you're coming up with a new sort of system of physics, and it's not quite as complicated as that because it's not as in depth because I don't know physics that well, um,
But it feels
but
real.
by
It
the
feels like you have done that. So nicely done.
Well, and the reason for that is because as I add to it and I
Mhm,
look at those rules,
mhm.
you've got one rule, okay, but you can do a couple of things with it. It's not really that fascinating, but you come up with two rules, and then you have interplay between those.
Mhm,
And so the more complexity you add to it, the more interplay you get within the system.
mhm.
And the most fun thing about it is to come up with all of these rules and then start breaking them, and that's when the real fun happens.
Yeah, it's awesome. No, I love it. I don't know that I've read a book before that had 2 magic systems, like, completely different ones. So it's really clever. I like
Yeah,
it.
there's three, but the third one has just barely been touched on.
Oh. Look, secrets even for the editor. I like it. Let's see. We have Roger wants to know, would you ever publish that World Bible as a reference for fans?
um, I've actually thought about making it a wiki. The only thing stopping me from doing it is time.
Time, yeah.
um yeah, but yeah, I would love to do that.
Mhm.
That would be a lot of fun. I'm also thinking about doing some kind of cookbook, um,
Oh, I was thinking
because
of that too, man. Those pies.
well, yeah, there's a lot of food in the books just because people eat, and
Mhm.
I like to cook, so I think about when I'm writing what they're eating, I'm thinking about, well, okay, how do I make that? And and there's a lot of stuff that doesn't hit the books,
Mhm.
but it's in that world Bible.
Well, I'll say
Um,
in the fourth book, when they go to the Jolly Chicken and and he orders fish, Morholt orders fish, and he gets
mhm.
the butter orange sauce on it. I'm like, I want a butter orange sauce. Like that sounded really good. You'll have to share. You have to send that recipe.
Yeah, you need a like a really hot grill and a basket, thing to so you can keep flipping the fish and putting the
Oh,
orange sauce on it, and it's like a glaze.
ooh,
Uh, yeah,
that sounds
yeah, it's
delicious.
good.
I must have it. I
I
must have
mean,
been
I'm
hungry when I
sure it
was
would be
reading
good
it.
if I ever made it.
Well, if you're going to make a cookbook, we have to test all the recipes. I mean, oh no,
Well,
the
yeah, but there's
horribleness.
like Keen's favorite are the travelers rolls. Except and there's different all the different countries have different ways that they make travelers. Everybody makes travelers rolls, but everyone makes them different.
Mm-hmm.
So I went through and figured out what's going to be in all the different travelers rolls. What do those countries they raise goats or they have nuts or they have whatever would
Or
be
they're
in that country that
vegetarians,
goes
or
into the
they're
rolls.
yeah,
Sure,
uh
absolutely.
yep. No, that would be fun. I'm with Keen. I could use some traveler rolls. And every culture has stuff they stick in bread and fry. Everyone. So, or bread-like
Yep.
substance. That's fantastic. Roger wants to know if he'd have to source the magical ingredients. No, this is actual food. Now the magical
Yeah,
creatures, maybe.
this is real food.
And magical creatures. And
Yeah.
yeah,
So
Steven
that's
says,
interesting. Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say when I gave Kelly the first draft of this book, there was way less magic in it
Mm-hmm.
altogether, and she quite rightly I felt said you've got to add some creatures some world elements to this that's gonna reflect the magic because it would
Mm-hmm.
and so that sent me back to the nature shows and and coming up with some fun stuff and there's it's funny because as with everything there's tons of stuff that has never hit the books but I'm also thinking about doing like a book of just short stories
Mm-hmm.
that that I can bip all over the world with and introduce a lot of the things that never made it into the other books. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
There's so much. It's just beautiful. Um, yes. The pocket pies. Oh, Henry's
Yes,
calling them
Roger,
pocket
she is a good
pies.
editor.
That's I'm all right. I have fun. Yeah, Steven said he likes when I write the ha notes. So, I mean, let's face it, as an editor, most of the time I'm just telling you everything you're doing wrong. So it's nice if I can also tell you, you know what, this part rocks. So I just concentrate on the wrong because the stuff that's good, it's already good. You don't need me for that. But I forget. I'm like, oh wait, I need to tell them it is good. So
Yeah, and actually, I really need that badly.
are you telling me to do it more? Are you telling me I don't do it enough? I'll have to keep going. It's hard sometimes, I'm telling you. Not this last book though. It's amazing. And so that's what we have
Yeah, you
two
can
things
keep
to
saying that.
announce. Well, it is. It's the best thing you have written for me anyways. It's incredible. But Illusions of Decency is the name of the new book. Your titles are incredible. I know one of your reviews, I want to say it was Leanne, that she put up that 100% here for the chapter titles because your chapter titles are incredible. Sometimes, I mean, how much time do you spend writing these chapter titles?
Almost none.
Really?
Usually, yeah. Because usually, well, I'll write the chapter first,
Mhm.
and then whatever jumps out at me about the chapter, then I'll just make something appropriate for the chapter title. But I don't do that the other way around because I would spend forever doing it if I was trying to make the those chapter titles from the outline or the notes. You got to wait until you've written that chapter.
And then it'll change anyway.
Have
So
to.
that's true. That's true. Good
Hmm.
point. Good point. Well, I
Yeah.
love them. The What was I reading? Oh, Illusions. So Illusions of Decency. So what we would like to do today is we want to reveal the gorgeous cover that Lena did for Illusions of Decency. Let's do that. Are we ready? Drum roll.
Yeah, I love this one.
It's so gorgeous. So we're going to see this cover. Here it comes. Here it comes. Hey, that was good. That was a good drum roll. Look at that. Oh my gosh. It's just bright and
Yeah.
gorgeous and fire. And Jenny. It's just
And
incredible.
Jenny.
Yep, gotta love Jenny.
Yeah, I really, really like that one.
Yeah, there's just, I don't know what it is. Maybe just the orange goes so well with the black that it really sticks out. But it's a stunning cover. So I love that. So this comes out in January, y'all. So I know you're gonna be excited for it. It's about ready to go to its editor right now, to the copy editor, to get it making look all pretty now that he's made the story all awesome. So we'll make sure it gets out to you. And we are looking for early readers. So if anyone wants to be an early reader, make sure you follow Kevin Pettway. And Kevin, you have your website, right? What's your website?
It's kevinpettway.com.
There you go, kevinpettway.com. So if you want to be an early reader, make sure to go to his website, and there's a place to sign up for his newsletter. So don't miss out on that. You must read this book.
Yeah, I had to make it so that I wouldn't be able to forget it.
Yeah, that's well, I'll tell you, I had to change my writer name to add the Lynn just to make sure I would have it. So I understand it. Lena says the cover is on fire. Yeah.
That cover is fire.
No, it's fantastic. Even the little stars in the squares there. I mean, it's alive and active and very, very visual. It's gonna look really nice next to all of them.
She does that with all of the books. Every one of those background patterns is different.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
On every one of those books. Yeah. I'm just I'm continually in awe, and I love this one. It's really good.
Yep, it's nice and active.
Sarah really looks like she's about to chop Moorholt's head off there.
Well, sometimes that mouth of his. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's hilarious from the outside reading it, but being around him all the time, I would understand the urge.
Oh, Jesus Christ, yes.
Yes. No doubt.
Fucking horrible.
But reading it from the safety of my house, it's awesome.
In I think it's book 3, when Keen gets told about Moorholt, I think he's dirtier than you are. And
Keen is like, never.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I was really pleased with the way Moorholt's voice came across.
Yes.
Because I wanted to make sure that it was really distinct from Keen. Mm-hmm. And the truth is, I did not have to make any effort. He's just a very, very different person, even though they're both, kind of horrible.
Well,
I was really happy with that.
Yeah, no, I love it because that's what I'm afraid of too sometimes, right? Like I was afraid as you were creating these characters how alike they were going to sound, and they don't at all. So it's fantastic the way that you've done that. So this is called experience, people. So don't give up. Keep writing. Keep writing. But no, that's really fun. And anyone who liked Keen will still adore Moorholt, but for different reasons. So I think it's really clever the way you've done that. So it's like you took a different character, but you didn't change the feel of the books, yet he still has a different voice. So I don't know how you did it, but I'm impressed. So keep it up.
Yeah, so it's a very, it's a very deliberate process where I go through and I think, obviously I'm writing books that I want to read. So when I write the next book, I think, what did I like about that other one? And, I want to make sure that stays in it. And at the same time, you have to have new characters. It has to be fresh. You have to continually be, coming up with new things, new fun things. And actually this kind of ties back to, the idea of subverting expectations. That whole idea has gotten a lot of bad press because, well, mostly because of the Game of Thrones TV show, where they basically were just subverting expectations to do it. And that's not a good reason.
Mm-mm.
You need to make sure that you deliver on all your promises.
Yes.
When you have set something up in a book, a reader wants to see that happen, and that is going to be the fulfilling experience for them. But along the way, you can subvert almost everything else and make it be fun and fresh and new and exciting. And that's the goal. And so that's what I'm thinking about when I'm writing those outlines and trying to figure out, what comes next. And so, it's definitely something that I consider and I think about and I want to make happen.
Yeah. Well,
And,
we
obviously if
appreciate
I
it.
don't, I won't get the next book contract. So, there's motivation.
Yes, your editor might have some notes.
That's
Maybe.
right.
So rumor has it you attended your first convention as a published author. What was that like?
Yeah, that was super fun. I was really nervous, very worried about it, and I went there and we set up our booth, and we met tons of really cool people there. Um, and I really really thought that I had brought way too many books because I kind of had like a wall of books in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the end of the first day, I thought I did not bring enough books. I am going to run out, and I didn't, but it was pretty close. Yeah, I was really really pleased. It was very exciting. I just there was so many wonderful people that we talked to. Lena sat there the whole time and pretended to be outgoing. And she did a really good job.
Yay, Lita!
She was so supportive and so there, and I really really appreciated her. But yeah, it was fantastic. I'm excited about going again. The only thing is that I really would like to I'm excited about some of the new people that you signed that are close by, because I would love to have more folks, more writers there on the table, and be able to share back and forth. Um, I think that does really good when you can do that.
Yeah.
Um,
It helps.
yeah,
Even for
there was
things
some
like
folks
bathroom
next
break.
to us. Yeah, but I mean, not just that, but when you can hype each other's books, when you're talking up the guy next to you, um, and they're talking you up, I think that gives people a greater sense of ease with their purchase, because you're out there spending your money, blind. You don't know anything other than the 2 or 3 minutes that you get to spend talking to the guy who wrote it, and of course he's going to say it's good.
Right. Right.
He's probably lying, but
Well, you see, you can say, look, other people read it too and liked it. Please like me.
right.
Yeah, so it definitely helps. I agree to have some other people there too. But just sharing the load alone helps. Or if you have somebody there who's, writes sci-fi. So you might talk to someone, they're like, oh, I don't read fantasy. Oh, I really like science fiction though. Well, hey, look at my friend right here. He happens to write, so that kind of helps too.
Yeah.
Spread the love. Roger wants to know what actor would play your main character. So we should probably talk about a couple of them. So we talk about Keen and then Sarah. Do you have characters in mind? Do you have actors in mind?
Keenan said, okay, it's hard for me to go a whole night, if Lena and I are watching TV without me thinking, oh, that would be a perfect
this character
Harden, or that would be, yeah, like I don't know how many actresses I have picked for Sarah now.
There's so many good ones.
Yeah. And Sarah is got like this really big imposing physicality. And
Which narrows
on
the
the
field.
screen, Yeah, but see, I don't think that an actress would need to have that. She would just need to have presence. She would need to have intensity, and she would have to be a big presence on the screen. And I think that would be way more important than, actually being 6'4" or
I say she
whatever.
has to be
I think
tall.
Sarah's
No,
6'3".
it has to be tall. She doesn't have to be bulky. It's going to be hard to find actresses tall and bulky, but she has to be tall, man. There's no way. I would not buy Sarah if she wasn't tall.
All right.
No way.
Well, who would be your pick for Sarah?
Well, see, my natural first one is Gina Torres, but she is too old now. So it would have to be someone younger than her. So I would say a younger Gina Torres.
Gina Torres is too poised, and she always has been. She exudes a certain amount of refinement.
That's true.
Even when she was playing
the pirate queen on Xena.
Yeah, well, and before that she was on Hercules. But Sarah is not refined particularly. Right. So it would have
quiet.
to be somebody.
I like that quiet part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was an act. I don't know the actress's name, but there's a show called Sinner with Bill Pullman he's a detective, and we just got done with season 2. And there's a character named Heather, who is she's like a police. She's training to be a detective
or something. Oh, she's training. Okay.
Yeah, something like that. But I the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my God, she'd be perfect. She'd be perfect. And she's small. She's not a big woman at all, but she had that intensity, and she had the look. She was great. As far as Keen goes, I always think about what's his name? He played
Lena says Natalie Paul.
And so
Sorry.
Natalie Paul. Okay.
Natalie Paul
there
is
you
the
go.
actress's name you were thinking
Yeah,
of.
so look her up.
Glover? You mean Glover?
Glover, yeah. Is it Nathaniel or Nathan? Danny Glover.
It's just Danny Glover, right?
Daniel.
It's because there's 2 Danny Glovers. It's confusing.
Right. That's why I get confused. Anyway, I always think about him when I think about Keen. I think he'd do a really great job, but he'd be too expensive.
You're right, though. He would totally capture it.
Yeah. There have been a bunch of others that I've seen that, but he's if I was like making a wish list, he'd be there.
Helen's laughing at you because you're thinking of cost when we're asking who your dream actor would be for the part.
Oh, right? Yeah, it's a dream actor. Okay.
We're casting this for real, Helen. We're going to call them.
I think would be a perfect Harden. He doesn't really look anything like Harden, but he's got his attitude exactly. He would play that role to the hell out of that. And
you'd have to get the chemistry right between Eli and Harden. Yeah. It would have to be exactly right.
Yeah. That's an important relationship.
Oh yeah. So I was wondering, with you are now a convention author. Do you have something special you wear or must have at events that makes you feel legit?
I wore my I have all of the book covers on t-shirts, and that's what I was wearing. Awesome. And I like that. Well, yeah, I really like I love the art. I think they're just cool anyway. And they have my name on them. In case I get lost and I need to be returned.
That won't help. It needs to have Lena's name if that happens.
Yeah, that's true.
That's right.
But I was told that I should cosplay a little bit, at least to some extent. So I've been thinking about that, how that might work. Yeah, I don't know, maybe something piratey or if I could just, sort of do a little bit like a mercenary kind of thing, that might be kind of fun.
Something roguish.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel roguish.
I think the problem is you have to be confident whatever it is you're wearing, right? That's why I dress professionally. I don't do cosplay personally, just because that's what makes me feel, legit. So it just depends on whatever makes you feel. So I was just wondering. So you haven't found it yet. Like Jonathan Mayberry always wears the Hawaiian shirts. You know what I mean? So just something that,
Yeah.
this is my identity. This makes me feel, like I'm supposed to be here. This is who I am, and I can now talk to you as the author because I am now dressed like one.
I feel so pretentious thinking about that, but I do think about that. It's like we'll be walking through Target, and Lena's looking at jeans, and I'm like sizing up the blazers, thinking, how would this look with a black T-shirt? Would that work? Could that be my author image?
Yeah, you need it.
You know
That's not
what?
pretentious. That's necessary.
Honestly, the only thing that I've come up with that I definitely keep with me at all times is a
Mhm.
hat that I don't have. Well, okay, not now, but it's a hat with a little pig on it.
Oh, yes.
A
Yeah.
little Jenny, and I've got one of the Jennies. Lena made a couple for me.
Oh,
Let's see, that's the thing. So I've got another one that goes on the hat. Um,
nice.
Yeah, and that's also kind of a conversation starter because people are like, "Is that a pig on your hat?" Yes, and then we can start talking about it.
And then off it comes. And see my T-shirt? You must buy this. Spycat says, don't forget the ascot. You need an ascot with the jacket. Uh-huh.
Yes, ascots and T-shirts go really well together.
That could be your author identity. You never know.
Love that.
That's it, Mom. You're not allowed to dress us. She does like cosplay, though. She'll make her own costumes. So who knows? Let's see. What are we at? 50? So I think we might be in lightning round. But there's two more things we want to announce first. First, we want to announce that Big Damn Magic's audio is complete and ready for customers. Yay! So the third one's out. So everyone who was waiting, make sure you go get yours. It's available
Yeah, and I
on
got to jump in
Audible,
here really
iTunes.
quick.
I'm sorry? Well, what I want to
Yeah,
ask, I want to ask a question.
okay.
I want to ask, what's it like working with your narrator?
Okay, great. Yeah. To begin with, I love Chris. He's fantastic. He was on the show last time we did this, and
Mhm.
and he's great. And I have always really enjoyed working with him.
Mhm.
But this last book that we did,
Mhm.
I honestly I don't know how many times it happened that I was sitting there listening to it because I go through and I listen to the book and I make notes, like if I don't know, because if you're reading a whole book, you can skip a word or whatever, and so
Mhm. Or
we
say the
go
wrong
through
voice on
and
accident on a
talk about it.
character. Oh yeah, totally happens.
Sure, that's happened.
Mhm.
But he's honestly he's really good, and it's very rare.
Mhm.
Out of 60 chapters, I'll come back with notes on 20.
Wow, he
Um,
is good.
and yeah, and usually they're one or two things, and they're
Mhm.
they're almost always small.
Mhm.
But what I was going to say is that this was the first time that as I was listening, I was thinking, this is better than what I wrote.
Oh, he captured
He
it.
really he elevated it. It was amazing. It was really really good. Um, I've always been happy with him. I've always enjoyed what he did.
Mhm.
But he really upped his game. And I talked to him about it, and he
Mhm.
was kind of tickled about it because he said that he has been, he's constantly working and studying and learning new stuff and trying to apply new techniques and things like that. And it
Mhm.
it just really came across. He fantastic job.
That's fantastic. I cannot wait. So it is out there for all of you audio fans. I know people love to consume in all different ways, so we want to make sure we have it out there for you. So I did want to make sure they knew about that. And then let's see. The other thing I want to talk about are those trading cards. You have some incredible trading cards you're making for the Misplaced Mercenary series, and you already have one out for Sarah and one for Keen. I was wondering, how can fans get a hold of those? What's the trick? What do they have to do? Do you have to?
So my plan, I haven't had anybody ask for them outside of the con, but my plan was to always have them with me at the conventions and just give them away to anybody who asks. It's
Perfect.
there's not like a trick, but it's if you're there, if I meet you, I'm happy to give you cards. And
So
so
Kevin
there's going to
is
be
what I'm getting.
yeah, and there's going to be a separate set of cards for each book. And the first set is going to be Keen, Sarah, Eli, and Harden. And then certain characters will get new updated cards for the next book, because as they progress, as their arcs grow, those cards will change. And yeah, they're super fun. I really enjoyed them. And we're gonna have the idea is to have different styles of artwork in each series. So those were fun to make.
So exciting.
I enjoy those.
Such a clever idea. I must get my hands on them myself. So if people do want to
Those were
collect
Lena's
these,
idea.
well, Lena is a genius.
That is true.
It is true. I can't wait to meet her in person at Dragon Con, which is one place you're going to be coming up is Dragon Con. And where else are you going to be if people want to get a hold of these cards?
It's stunning to me that you and Lena have never met.
I know. We couldn't believe that either. I'm like, I get to meet you in person. And she's like, wait, have we not? Oh my gosh, we haven't met in person.
Yeah.
We're going to be best friends, though. You and both the Kevins are going to be in big trouble.
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, that kind of goes without saying. So we're gonna be at Dragon Con, and then the next weekend after we get back from Dragon Con, we're going to be at Ancient City Con, which is in now that one's a little closer to home. So we won't have to get a hotel or anything for that. But it's like 30 minutes away. But it's oh my God, I'm gonna be so tired when all that's over.
So much socializing.
But yeah, but it's gonna be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm trying to get onto some panels for that one.
That'll be cool. That's the
so yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Attending professional next year at Dragon Con. I predict it.
Sure.
I predict.
It's funny because I can get really nervous, if I know there's going to be like a one-on-one conversation with somebody at this important thing or whatever. But in front of like a room full of people, actually pretty cool. That doesn't really bother me. Yeah, people in big groups laugh easier.
I agree. Right?
So
it's contagious.
It's true. It's true. And as soon as you make somebody else laugh, it makes you feel calm. And so that's easier.
It's a lot of fun. All right, I think we have to hit the speed round. Are you ready?
Yeah. Don't expect me to go fast.
No, you must go fast. Don't think about it. Just answer. First one, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Okay, so everybody usually answers this as mint chocolate chip, which nothing bad against mint chocolate chip. I like it just fine. However, my favorite is Chubby Hubby because I like ice creams that are all about me.
I don't know. You're not that chubby anymore, dude. The chub has faded. That's awesome. All right, great answer.
Yeah, it's good. Anyway, okay. Moving
Coffee?
on.
See, speed round. Coffee or tea?
I like coffee, but I love tea.
Good answer.
And
Hot?
I just got a new kettle the other day.
Oh, I saw that. It lights up in pretty colors.
I know it lights up, and I am a sucker for anything that lights up, and that,
you're like, I want
the
that
lights
one.
on that probably cost us an extra $20 just because I'm like, lights on it.
That's so cool.
Three different colors.
Lena's like, oh no, we saw the lights.
Yeah. We were shopping for refrigerators. and I popped one open, and this blue light came out at me, and she just hung her head. You know?
I can see your big grin, childlike face turn around and look at her, and she's like, excuse me, we'll take that
Yep.
one.
Yep. That is exactly. She didn't even argue with me about it because she knew it didn't matter.
she, you know what? The one thing, we know when we've lost. That's that's awesome. Favorite style of music?
Yeah, I don't have one. I listen to everything.
Except Sinatra, apparently. Come on now.
Yeah, but I do listen to like big band and swing.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure I listen to Sinatra songs that are done by other people. I'm not sure that's like, right now I'm listening to, let's see, my mix is Voltaire, Joan Jett, Rocky Horror Picture Show, and Wicked.
Nice.
And Lanuba, the Cirque du Soleil thing. That's like in the mix. And then I always go back to Cowboy Mouth because the dogs like it.
Just for them. I mean, you got to take care of them. Voltaire's going to be at Dragon Con.
Yes, I do.
Late nights, baby.
That's
Late
exciting.
Nights. Country.
Yeah, I don't know if I can hang like that anymore, but
you just got to take a nap. You got to take a nap, and you'll be fine. What country you want to visit?
Scotland. Really, any place with castles. Yeah. That's I'm afraid of language barriers, but at the same time, I have had a lot of success in my life with running towards things that scare the shit out of me. So I think I would be happy to go somewhere that I didn't speak the language. I just but I acknowledge it. It's there.
It's fair.
But yeah, I've got a really, really close friend who she was born in Scotland, and her family is from there, and she goes back there frequently, and she has offered to come up with an itinerary for us if we go visit.
Is she going to come with and translate?
That seems like a lot of fun.
I mean, there are parts of Scotland.
I think she specifically did not offer to do that. But
yeah. So, steak on the grill or cast iron? How do you like to cook your steak?
I typically cook them cast iron, just because it's simpler. But I do love them on the grill too. It's kind of like asking for my favorite beer, because that's entirely mood dependent. And there could be 1,000 answers to that question depending on when you catch me. Except now, which now I have to drink dad beer. So
I'm so sorry.
But that's okay. I still like it.
Well, excellent. So I hope you had fun. It's nice having you on this side of the screen and not just in the chat. Did you have fun?
Yeah, you really. I was expecting what was your least favorite chore? I had an answer for that.
I told you I had to step it up, man. We talked way more about your world.
It's corpse removal, by the way, is my least favorite chore.
Like from the wine bottle?
Not corks. Oh. Corpse. Like dead bodies.
Oh.
I don't like puppies. Doing it. Yeah, there's dogs, and we live in a like I wouldn't even call it semi-wooded. I mean, there's a lot of trees and stuff, but it's really totally suburban, but it's really old. Everything's old growth. And so there's raccoons and there's possums and there's rats, and and we've had thousands of dead things in the backyard. And you just have to every so often you got to go out there and And I occasionally wonder, like, is it wrong that I have a favorite way to, to pick up a dead body in a garbage bag? Um, you know, but it's just something that you have to do. We really try hard to keep the animals away from the dogs because we don't want them to die. It's not,
Right, right.
but
That's not by
they're just
design.
so stupid. They're so stupid. They keep coming back.
You're like, mate, you didn't just like hang one dead body so that they would learn, just one.
You would think that you could do that, but there's some smell issues with that, and
That's also true.
it
Hey, Vicky
it's
says
not as much fun as it sounds like.
Vicky says at least they're not being brought inside. Yeah, they've been having chipmunk problems where
Yes,
yeah,
they
they get caught
certainly
by the
have
cat and
been
brought inside.
inside. So this was a few dogs ago, but Lena is watching TV, and I happen to be standing in the room, and so when Guinness walked in, I saw him while he was still behind her in the chair,
Mhm.
and Lena saw my eyes because my eyes went, and she's like, "What's the matter?" And all I said was, "Do not turn around."
Did he have a snake? What did he
And
have?
she didn't. She
Oh,
didn't.
she
And
trusts you.
and and I said, "Guinness," and then there was a thud on the floor as he dropped it. And I went and collected it up and took it outside and took care of it. And yeah, I'm actually not going to tell you what it was. But but
Holy
and
moly.
it's not the only time that oh god, all of these stories are horrific.
The funny
There
part,
was a
you said corpse removal, right? I heard cork
Yes,
removal like wine, and Helen heard quartz removal like stone. So that kind of says a
that's
little bit
because
about what we write, doesn't it?
nobody expects you to have to remove corpses from your house. So yeah, you're naturally going to go to other things.
See, and wine bottles must always be in cork, so I get that, right? And Helen quartz, I don't know. There's stone used in her world, so maybe she just went right to stone for that. It's awesome. Well, Kevin, you have been
Yeah,
awesome. I don't
so
want to keep you all night because it's very rude, and we could save some stories for next time. Because I'm sure we're going to have you on again. So, what I would like to know is where can fans find you and your work?
okay, so obviously on Amazon and Barnes and Noble
Mhm.
and all of the places that you buy those things. But the easiest thing to do would be to go to the website, which is kevinpettway.com.
Mhm.
And I'm on Facebook. I have accounts a lot of other places that I don't look at. Um, so we really just go to Facebook. Um, and yeah, but if you go to the website, everything is there. And also, I put out a newsletter, which everybody should be signed up for.
For
But
sure.
the every time I put out a newsletter, it pops up like a week later on the website as just like a
Oh, okay.
blog, because they're like funny stories and things that happened to me, and uh, a lot about the grocery store. Um,
There's lots of fun stories in there. I read it. I mean, I talk to you all the time, and I still read your newsletter because it's hilarious. Let's
yeah, I
see.
enjoy the newsletter. It's fun.
That is fun. I do want everyone to know that A Good Running Away is going to be featured in Book Lovers Delight. It is a fun thing put together by Abundantly Social that has different books featured in it. It's each month you receive a new and entertaining book that is either indie or small press published, along with some extra little goodies, including limited edition swag from the author, Book genres vary from YA fiction to general audience, adult fiction, and much, much more. You can just do it by the month if you want. So if like 1 month they're doing romance and you don't want it, but the next month they're doing A Good Running Away and you're like, heck yeah, I want that, then you could just get that month if you want. And it's called Book Lover's Delight. The August box is going to include Kevin Pettway's book, A Good Running Away. This book does use foul language, but y'all know that. Character trading card from Kevin Pettway. So remember we talked about the character trading cards. So if you want to get your first one, you can get it through here too. There's an insulated can cooler because, we do prefer to drink while we read these books because they're awesome. There's a book lover keychain and Cursed Dragon Ship stickers will be there. And I also have some character stickers of Keen and Sarah will be in there as well. So make sure to consider that. And if you're interested in it, please look up bookloversdelight.com. So thank you so much. And now that Kevin Pettway is your favorite author, please read and review his books. Also, review us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also subscribe on YouTube or follow us on Twitter. And we do want to thank our subscribers, or not Twitter, Twitch. We do want to thank our subscribers on twitch.tv/curseddragonship, DH Dunn, Roger, and Helen Savor. Thank you so much for supporting us. You help us keep the lights on around here. And we cannot wait until we see you next week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Central, at twitch.tv/curseddragonship, where we will feature Helen Savor. See you next time.
I like Helen.
Me too.